I am Noha Polak from Progressive Pediatrics in Union City in Bayonne, New Jersey, where I've been practicing pediatrics since 1996. And today we're going to talk about heavy metals in baby food. Today I'm joined by Claire Smith, PA.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Smith. I'm a physician assistant. I've been working in pediatrics for the past 7 years.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today, Claire.
Of course.
We've gotten lots of phone calls and emails from parents who read the latest news articles about having heavy metals in baby foods. Some of the emails were a little bit panicked, so we thought we'd address it today. So let's get to it. So I'm going to just mention the metals that are mentioned in the article, because this was the article was in response to a study that was released and given to Congress actually this past week. So the 4 metals that were tested for were cadmium, arsenic, lead, and mercury. So Claire, can you help us understand why there are metals in our food in general, not just baby foods?
Sure. So the first main reason is that they are naturally occurring in the soil and on Earth's crust. Another reason is that, we do have to deal with some pollution and runoff. So that can be a major cause of the metals. And another cause is the processing of foods in large plants.
Exactly. So we can't avoid what's naturally in the soil because it is what it is. We try to avoid pollution as much as possible. And what do we have control over is basically the processing, in terms of the heavy metal contamination. So I read the report thoroughly, the 59 pages of it, and I read the articles. So Claire, what did we learn about what foods and how to minimize the amount of heavy metals in our children's foods?
So I think the big take-home point that the American Academy of Pediatrics wants us to know is that we really want to vary the foods that we give our children. And then we can also focus on a couple of key players. Rice, I wanted to mention specifically, has been known to have the highest levels of arsenic in it. So you want to try to vary your grains that you're feeding your children. And also just wanted to mention specifically puff snacks. They are puffed rice. So really try to cut down on those if you can. The other foods that we like to talk about are sweet potatoes and carrots and apple juice. So those things, we're not saying don't give them to your children, but just really try to vary what you give them, and also read the ingredients, because some of these combination pouches do have sweet potatoes or carrots as one of the main ingredients. However, they might not advertise that as such.
Exactly. So our main message today is variety. Read the ingredient list, minimize the amount of rice, sweet potato, carrots, and apple juice, but you don't have to totally eliminate them. And in the ingredient list, other things you should be aware of as a parent besides rice, sweet potatoes, and carrots are cinnamon and a pre-vitamin mix that some companies put into the baby food. So the pre-vitamin mix can also have heavy metals in it, and we want to try to avoid that. Sorry, I said pre-vitamin mix, it's vitamin premix, excuse me. So Claire, you have 2 small children. Tell me your opinion about making your own baby food versus buying it.
So if you can, it is best to make your food, because the way that these plants process things is one of the reasons why we sometimes see heavy metals in our baby food. Sometimes they test the food before the actual processing, so we don't get that accurate analysis of the end product. So if at all possible, you can make your baby's food. If not, try to minimize the processed food, and vary everything that you can.
Exactly. And what about organic versus non-organic baby food? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, so with respect to heavy metals, there is no significant difference between organic and non-organic food. It's just really the pesticides that are not used in the organic food.
All right, so there's no big difference in terms of organic baby food in terms of heavy metal content. All right, so last message we want to leave you with is that we do test children routinely at the ages of 1 and a little bit later 2 or 3 for lead in their blood. And that has been very low. So the number of kids that we've diagnosed with lead in the blood is super, super small. And usually we can pinpoint something in the home that has caused that exposure rather than food. So we want to give you the message that even though this report came out, it is not likely that your child has been exposed to a large amount of lead. We haven't been finding it in all the testing we've done. Claire, what is your opinion about testing for other metals?
So right now, things like hair testing to see the content of heavy metals is not recommended at this time, and it is thought to be quite a small amount of exposure that the food is providing. But we do realize that any amount of exposure does need to be reduced whenever possible.
Exactly. So we want to reduce the amount of heavy metals in our children's diet, in our own diets as well, of course. It's impossible to totally eliminate it because we live on Earth and these things belong in the Earth's crust. In order to minimize it, the least amount of processed food you can give your children, the better. If you are going to make your own children's foods, try to wash the rice, wash all of the fruits and vegetables with cold water before cooking them or giving them to the children. And please don't panic. We're testing for lead. We haven't found a lot of lead in our community. So don't panic. This is not as big of a deal as it seems. However, our government should really take control of these kinds of situations, and they should have better standards and hold these companies' feet to the fire in terms of better standards for our children and for their health without causing big panic. So my name is Noha Pola. I work at Progressive Pediatrics. I've been there for 25 years. We're open 7 days a week in Union City and 5 days a week in Bayonne. Claire is our PA and she works with us, and it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. Don't forget to share this video. Call us. We can do an in-person visit. We can do televisits or phone calls to answer your questions. Have a great weekend and happy Valentine's Day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.